Good morning. Am I audible to you guys? Please confirm. Can you please confirm to me I'm audible? Please confirm to me I'm audible. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to show you a couple of things today. Last time I was not able to show because I was showing a presentation or a document only. So this is something which I wanted to show you, that when you make a payment of TDS, okay, so for example, when I make a payment of TDS on monthly basis, so TDS generally is paid by 7th of the month. And if I don't pay the TDS, then I have to pay interest on that. So how do I go do this? First, I go into online services dot tin.egov nsdl.com. Okay. So if this information is not available to you or you can't recollect this, then what you can do is just on Google, you can type e-payment for TIN, because TIN is your tax identification number. Okay. So let us say I need to pay advance tax. I will generate here. I need to pay security transaction tax. I will generate here. So normally I pay TDS, so I generate here. So when I do this, I go into this proceed. Since I'm a non-company, I'm a firm, I'll say non-company here. Since this is a TDS, I will say TDS here and move on. So I will say net banking, I'll pick my name, HDFC Bank. Let us say my tax deduction account number, whatever is that, I'll put it here and I'll pick up the assessment here, I'll put it here. This is my assessment here because I'm paying the TDS, right? Let me show you my details if I'm able to put in. Just give me 1 second. So let us say this is my TDS number. So I go here and put my TDS number, and the moment I enter into this, I just put my details. I give here NC3FV. I go into proceed. Okay, so nature of payment is 94J. So I'm deducting and paying, making payment of professionals. Let us say this is the one I choose. So the moment I click here and I enter the details, go for proceed, it will ask for all those details, right? So this is my firm name, this is my TAN number, and this is the assessment here. This is my details. I say yes. Okay, submit to the bank. Then it goes to the bank directly. So since I'm a retail user, I will just go here and I make my into my payment. So whatever is the amount, whatever is my login ID, I'll just put it here. Let us say I put my code ID. No, this will show everything. So just simple. Just go to your bank, make the payment. Doesn't matter. I'll just show it to you. So I just put the password. So this is my account. and I put that detail, and let us say I put rupee 1 here, and I continue. So whatever amount it is, it will generate a challan, and I will be able to make that payment. So this is how the payments are done as far as TDS is concerned. So is this clear to you all? Is there any question in regard to TDS? So this is why TDS is paid and this is how TDS is paid. Is this okay? Any questions here? So I am not able to see any questions on TDS. So I am moving to my topic, which is the class material. So this is where the incentive are also paid. Incentives means that you encourage the people to work more and basis which you pay more. So, ultimately it helps the business objective that is very essential because unless and until your objective is met, why will anybody work for it? Okay. So what you do is you make incentive schemes just to ensure that people work hard and basis that logic the incentives are paid. Similarly, overtime is also paid just to ensure that the deliveries are happening fast. So you may have to pay them incentive and basis which typically the overtime is at double the rate or 1.5 times the rate. So it is not the normal rate. But as I said, this is a normal scenario. The organization may have different parameters. Okay. So generally it is the overtime which is paid at a premium rate. Okay. Shalil, next. So also there is a request for overtime because of various reasons. The reasons for overtime can be that there is somebody ill, so you are expecting somebody else to take the place. It may be there is a request from customer that some person is needing the work urgently. It could be more orders than planned, so you are asking for workers to immediately work, and there are rush orders because of which you are in a hurry to complete the work. But as I said that overtime is an expensive proposition. So you have to control it. So how do we control it? So there has to be a earlier permission. Without permission, overtime will not be paid. There is an overtime ticket assigned that this person will be doing an overtime. If it is becoming a regular feature, then it is better to employ more people because 1.5 times or 2 times there is no point in making a payment. And periodical reporting of overtime with reasons should also be circulated as to why this has happened. Plus, the efforts should always be taken to reduce the overtime because of the reason that it leads to a normal person will work for normal time. If you expect a person to work more than the normal time, definitely it spoils the body and it spoils the health of the employee also. So this is not good for the organization, right? So why? Because ultimately the body takes the toll. Now coming to what are direct expenses and what are indirect expenses. So technically speaking, when we make payments, uh, costing requirement is to book the expenses in both direct or indirect also, right? So whenever we make a payment, we ensure that they are booked rightly. So anything which is directly attributable to the job or a process or a cost unit is a direct, and they are also a part of prime cost. So somebody who is doing costing is also required to know more on that. What is prime cost? What is non-prime cost? So prime cost is basically your direct cost. and they are also chargeable because you charge to your material. So, and then there is a question also. So in the exam, they might ask you a question in regard to what are direct expenses, right? So you need to understand that these are direct expenses, which are royalties and patents, higher charges for special machines in relation to specific job, subcontractor charges. These are all direct expenses. Okay, so please note all these because definitely a question might come to you. Also because of the reason that this is a part of costing. So costing will definitely focus more on these areas. So you are requested to please make a note of all these, what is a direct and what is indirect. Consultancy charges, special design, architect fees, and traveling for a specific job. So, just for example, a question may come, architect fees is a direct expense, indirect expense, prime cost, overhead cost. So if it is a direct expense, you have to answer it as a direct expense. The proportion of direct expenses is generally small, so about 20-30% only. Okay. Similarly, there are all other expenses which are also not prime, not direct. Okay. So what happens is all factory expenses which are meant directly with the production, they are all directly expenses. So just say electricity and water, power, electricity, they are directly linked with production of factory. So they will be booked as direct expenses. This is how the direct and indirect happens. So now let's see a question. Basic rate is 3 per hour. Overtime is 1.5 times for evenings and double rate for weekends. Okay, following details. So there is a normal time here. There is an evening time here, which is 1.5. And then there is a weekend time, which is double, which is 2 times the rate. Okay, so calculate the labor cost, which is chargeable under the following circumstances, where overtime is worked occasionally at customer request. Okay, so now we know that this is 3 per hour, so we will use this normal rate into the normal thing. So job X may, if you use all this comes to 592, 592, same here 310, and same here 246. So normal job is this much, which you multiply this by 3 rupees, you get a normal rate. This one. B, agar if this is not the scenario, then normal time using this, evening time is 4.5, 3 ka 1.5 is 4.5, and 3 ka 2 is 6. So you multiply this by 6, you get the overtime. So this is how the rates are calculated for job X, for job Y, and for job Z also. Right? This is very clear. This is given in the exam only. Okay. So based on which you can calculate other questions also. Now let's do, and please remember that I'm just sharing you one example, two example. You are requested to go through all these examples of your own, and in case you face any difficulty in them, you can ask in the class also. However, one thing is also sure that there are some small errors in the book. So please don't assume that you are always wrong. There is a possibility that book can also be incorrect. Okay. So now let's go to question number 2. The question number 2 says that the standard hours is 100. Shankar has done the job in 60 hours, which means he has saved 40%. So he will come here. Okay, 21 to 40%. Ehsan in 70 and Loe in 95. The factory had a bonus system applicable to job based on time saved. The rate of the pay is 1 per hour. So normal rate is 1, but then there is an incentive. Calculate the total earnings of the three based on the table of the incentive scheme. This table is half given, so there is a mistake in the question. Okay, so that question is actually like this. Uh, so up to 10%, the bonus percentage is 10%. So let me just complete the question. So the question should be here, it should be 10% bonus. Okay. So I'm just completing the question because book has slight mistake. Here it is 20%. No, this is 15%. Here is 20%. And here is 25%. Okay, so you can note it down because the book has a small error here. You have to use this complete question to solve the question. Okay, so using this table, first you find out the question. So standard hours is given, actual hours is given, hours saved you can calculate. So 60 minus 100 is 40, 100 minus 70 is 30, 100 minus 95 is 5. So 5 hours saved. Okay. Now going by the percentage, up to 10% is 10%. So we can use bonus percentage 10% here. Here this was 30%, 30% is here, so 20%. And since here it is 40%, again 20%, so we get the bonus percentage. So we also know the question has given us how much bonus hours. That is what we have calculated. So 95, 70 is what you work. So 30 is what you saved. So 6 you get. 40 is what you saved, is what you get, 8 hours. Okay. So total hours is 60 plus 8, right? 70 plus 6 and 95 plus 0.5. So you get all these rates. Total earnings is 1 rupee per hour is given to you in the question. So multiply that. And so rate of earning you divide by this, you will get your answer. Okay. So rate of earnings you will get per hour. It's very easy to get this, divide that. So this is how you do the question. Are there any questions up to now? So we are complete on this chapter. If there are any questions up to now, please let me know. Any questions up to now, please? Is this topic clear? First part? Please confirm, is the topic clear? Okay. So I'm getting a confirmation. All good, sir. Very nice. Okay. So I'm moving to the next topic, which is the topic on stores accounting. Now, stores accounting, what does this mean? So stores accounting basically means that when a company has inventories, so store here means inventories, right? So when a company has inventories, how do you account for it? And what is the basic structure of accounting for a concept of inventory? So normally what happens is when I make this chapter uh, in the class, I explain with an example. Okay? So let me just show you an example of how we learn the concept. So just show me. Let me show you one thing. Or maybe I'll show you here. Excel sheet. Okay, so let me now give you an example of a normal system of a factory. So what I'm going to show you is how normally uh, a structure happens in any kind of business. So let me just give an example of, let us say, Hero Honda factory. Okay. So this is a factory here. You can see here, this is the complete factory here. And technically speaking, production happens in various divisions. Okay. So let us say the first, so and then let me show you, this is a Hero Honda factory where Hero Honda motorcycles are manufactured. Okay. If you understand this example, you will be able to understand the complete concept. Okay. So let us say first there is a shop which is called as the welding shop. Okay. Now what happens here is, and this is shop number one. What happens is whenever a factory starts, the first material, the work happens when there is welding of the steel sheets. Okay, so this is where the first action happens, and then it goes to second shop, which is shop two. Okay, what happens here is after welding there is a bodybuilding, like bodybuilding shop. Okay, where motorcycle is completely made up. Okay, so that is shop two. Okay, then goes to shop three. So this is shop three, where there is an assembly shop. This is, unit three. Then there is unit four, which is paint shop, where a body is then painted. All motorcycle are colored, and they give a complete unit for that. Then fifth is your engine shop, where the engines are fitted. Five is engine shop, where all body is completed and engine is fitted. Then next is your R&D shop, where your testing happens. Okay? Your tests, your motorcycles are tested whether every part is working or not. And then is your last is your packing shop. Okay? So this is your packing shop. And in between, there is a centralized store. What happens is whenever anybody needs any material, okay? So whenever anybody needs material, so for example, welding shops need a material, they will ask the store. Okay, so for example, uh, the bodybuilding shop needs material, they will ask the store. For example, the assembly unit needs a material, they will ask the store. Packing material needs, they will ask the store. So whichever department needs material, each department goes to store for asking them that they need material. Similarly, there is a possibility that the engine shop has some extra material which is needed by paint shop. So sometimes the departments can also make transfers to all these inter departments. So this is an assembly concept where a complete factory works, and each department or each factory or each unit is linked, but the major component is through the centralized store. This is a centralized store which supplies to all the materials, all the units. Okay. Is there any question on this area? Have you understood? In practical level, also some level of application can be done. Yes, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, yeah, from the exam perspective, we don't they don't ask practical questions. What I have shown you to do the TDS part, no. So there is no practical example to that. This was just only for your reference. Is the store part clear? Is there any question up to store concept? Because this concept of store is very essential for you to understand the chapters. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand the complete chapter. This is the concept of centralized stores. Are there any questions in this area? Please confirm yes, no. So begin. Are you saying anything? Anybody wants to ask anything? So somebody is asking, please explain again. Okay. Actually, I am today not in my hometown. I am in Lucknow today, so I don't have a net. I'm using the my phone net today for explaining this. So I will not be able to show my face because the space is very less. So I'll explain once again this part so that it becomes clear to you. Okay. So this is a factory. Understand करें, this is a factory here where each unit is independent. So this is unit 1, this is unit 2, this is unit 3, okay, this is unit 4, this is unit 5, this is unit 6, and this is unit 7. So in any factory, what happens is your production starts from unit 1 and then it moves to unit 2, and then so your welding happens first, then your bodybuilding, your complete your assembly of a motorcycle is done. Then in assembly shop, each part is fitted in. All the small components are fitted in. And then in unit 4, the complete unit is painted. Then unit 5, engine is fitted in, and unit 6, testing happens, and unit 7, dispatch packing happens. So it starts from here, goes to this complete. In between, there is centralized store. So centralized store can shift material to unit 1, to unit 2, to unit 3, to unit 4, to unit 5, to unit 6, and to unit 7. It keeps on giving materials. This is the concept of centralized. In any factory, in any big operations, mostly they have centralized stores. But it is not necessary that they have centralized stores. So there is a possibility that they may not have, centralized stores as well. So what happens is, so when they don't have centralized stores, then what happens is then each department has their own stores, which is very costly thing. So to maintain a, a complete store in each department is very tough. So what happens is most of the organizations individually, they have only one store. Now, this store is catering to all the units and they also manage inventory at a one level. This is an example of how all big operations in a factory happens. Any question up to now? Is this clear? Okay, so Gayatri is saying it's clear. Okay. If there any question, let me first use this store accounting concept Basis this, I'm sure you will be able to understand more better. Okay. So what is store accounting? Now stores and materials are changed, are used interchangeably because material is managed by stores. So technically, they are both the same. Okay. So what happens is, when you talk about inventories, so inventories are typically your materials, okay, which includes finished, semi-finished, or the goods also. Okay. Now what happens is that the stores are typically having all these three type of inventories. One is finished goods, semi-finished goods, and then the stores, right? So who is managing this? The store. The store was in this example. So this is where the store happens, right? Now moving on. So all materials received will be examined, of course. So since store has the concept of receiving material, they should examine it, they should weight it, measure it, etc., etc. And also, wherever required, give a certificate that they have received the material and record it in the stock register also. So they ensure that accounting is perfect. Similarly, when they take in the material, they issue material also. So this department issues material to all the stores, all the factories, all the units. Okay. Now what it says is, so materials are issued for use, for manufacture, for sale. The officer in charge should ensure that the indent in the prescribed form has been made by duly indenting officer, and there is a reference to that also. Because the storekeeper has to maintain those records. So they will issue the material when they receive the requisition, right? So whenever a requisition is received, they will issue based on that. Now typically the store transactions receipts में क्या है? Purchases from suppliers. So all those inwards. So anything which is there inward. So they receive all those materials from the suppliers. So for example, there is an outsider here, okay, who is a supplier, right? So the supplier material issues or sell the material and they send it to centralized store. So why we send it to? Because that's the one department. So they will issue the material to centralized store, right? And they are outsiders. They are not the persons who are within the uh, so they are outsiders, right? So they issue the material, they sell the material to here, and they technically receive the material, and they coordinate in between themselves. So receipts may they by purchases by diversion from other stores. So for example, this department has some excess material, they will return back to the centralized, so diversion हो गया. And by devolution, so extra works. Similarly, they issue for material production, they issue to contractors and they divert to other stores also. So this kind of transaction happens within the stores. Now, material can be direct or indirect. Now, this is another question here. So what material they receive, whatever this department can be in the nature of direct material or also in the nature of indirect material. So what are direct material here? Direct material is which is directly linked with the production. Okay. Indirect is which cannot be identified or related with a particular product. For example, Fevicol. A Fevicol, how much is used in one process will be difficult to identify. While a direct, material which is visible. So, for example, you are using a plate on the table. That plate has to be fixed. So that plate will be direct material. While Fevicol or the snails or the, let us say, gum used in any production will be difficult to identify and will also be indirect material. So the items have to be identified. The direct material separate and indirect separate. And similarly, the storekeeper should have a process where each item is checked and validated. Okay. Now, there are few questions on this area. So this is very important area, and for people who are doing costing would have done this area also. And please remember these questions because there are formulas now to understand. Okay. Now, on each concept, the storekeeper has to ensure that the stock levels are managed appropriately. Okay, so what are the appropriate levels? So first is the maximum stock level. There are questions, 3, 4 questions will come on the exam on these areas. So please remember these formulas by heart. You have to have knowledge of all these formulas. Okay. First, what is maximum level? That is very essential to identify. Now, what is maximum level means that the stock should not be more than this level. That is what maximum level means. Okay. Moving on, maximum is reorder level plus reorder quantity minus minimum consumption into minimum reorder period. So this is one formula to remember. Second formula is maximum stock level. Now, what is stock? Maximum stock level is economic order quantity plus the minimum stock. So minimum stock plus the EOQ. This is very important formula, and this is one question which will definitely come about these formula is they will give you data and you'll be required to find out the maximum stock or the EOQ stock or the minimum stock. So please note that these are very important formulas for your exam perspective. So this is part 1. Okay. Now moving to the part 2, the minimum stock level. What is minimum stock level is equals to reorder level minus normal consumption into average reorder period. So this is the minimum level. So just to give you an idea of what does maximum level means and what does minimum level means. Okay, just to understand the basic concept. Now, when you put petrol in your vehicle, do you put beyond the capacity of the tank? Answer is no. So you know the maximum stock at which you should put your material. Similarly, when you take the household items, your dals, your pulses, your rice, your atta, your wheat, etc. How much level do you maintain at home? Your parents or your mother, how much stock do they maintain at home? So do you keep 100 kilos of rice at your home? Answer is no. Why? Because you know that excess putting may have insects coming in, right? And it will spoil also because your consumption is not that. So based on consumption, based on ensuring that it is safe, and based on space also, you will keep that material. Also depending upon how much time it takes to reorder, right? Because you also know that when you call a shop owner, he will supply the material in 1 day or 2 days. Suppose you are staying in a very remote area. Suppose you are staying in Leh Ladakh, where the shops are not much. So you will definitely store higher because you also know that getting it back will be taking more time. So whenever you maintain a stock, you will keep all these things in mind that it should not spoil, it should not use more space because stock maintenance is a big cost involved, plus reorder level and reorder time. So all these factors are also in a when we do these calculations. Okay, what is reorder level? Reorder level is the level at which you should start give the order back. Okay, now what does that mean? it is a maximum reorder period plus the maximum utilization. And this is you multiply, you get a reorder level. So very simple concept. The point at which the material is reached, the order of must be placed. So for example, people who use scooter, there is a point of in a fuel which you say that अब मैंने वो लगा दिया है तो now I have to immediately get it filled. In a scooter, I think you what do you call that? Since I don't use scooter, I've used scooter very long ago. So there used to be a concept of using that the extra fuel which is there for 1 liter, I believe. The moment you put it on, it means that your risk is there, so immediately fill it up. Similarly, in a car, whenever the fuel is going to the red, it means that you should get it filled up. This is that reorder level. Okay. So average stock is maximum stock plus minimum stock divided by 2, half of that. That is average stock. Average stock is also minimum stock level plus half of reorder quantity. So these are the two ways in which we calculate the average stock. Any questions up to now? Anyone? Gayatri or anyone? Okay, so one question is centralized store is nothing but warehouse. No, warehouse is separate, centralized store is separate. You cannot compare both of them. They have different concepts, different structures. Okay, so there is no point in mixing them up. These two are different. Okay, any other question? Are there any questions up to now? Okay, so there are no questions. I'm moving on. So then the next concept is the concept of EOQ. Now, what does EOQ means? EOQ means the economic order quantity. Now, economic order quantity is based on three things. One, the ordering cost. Second, the carrying cost. So A, B is the buying cost per order, which is the ordering cost. This is the same thing. Then C is the carrying cost, which is here. C is the carrying cost. And A is your annual consumption. So three things are there. EOQ is actually there is a mistake here. So EOQ formula is like this. Let me just put it. This is actually under a line here. EOQ is like this. EOQ is like this. 2A square root of 2AB upon C. So here, this thing is actually a square root. This thing is under a square root. So please note that this is a small correction which is there. Your EOQ is under the square root of 2AB upon C. 2 is your number 2. A is your annual consumption. B is your buying cost, also called as the ordering cost. Now, ordering cost में क्या क्या आता है? Ordering cost is your, placing of order, which is your cost of transportation, cost of receiving, and cost of inspection. While carrying cost is your handling material cost, your insurance cost, your storage cost, your obsolescence cost, etc., etc. So these two are important and based on which the EOQ is determined. Okay. So basis which what is the right quantity to be ordered is the EOQ, which considers the both the ordering cost also and also the carrying cost also. So it is very essential to understand the concept of what does EOQ means. Okay, moving on. So purchase of goods has to be with quotations. You have to ensure that they are the requirement has to be met. Value is normally debited when you buy this to stock suspense and you create to suppliers. Typically, suspense is never used, but this is just for the explanation because we don't know for what purpose. Hence, we are putting it suspense. This is theoretical, but never use this practical because suspense is never used in practical. So there is a book here, which is the store book. The moment you material receive, you put it entry here. The moment you transfer it, you transfer from there also. Uh, Purchase of goods has to be with quotation, which means you should not buy material which are not with quotations. However, small value may be purchased without quotation. Quotations has to be minimum three. Whenever you work in an organization, the rule says that minimum three quotations must be there. This is a question. And then there is a question also. There can be a question in asking you, what are the minimum quotations required? 1, 3, 5, 7. Answer is 3. So a purchase committee will look into that. There's a procedure here. That procedure has to be followed. But if you are not calling for quotation, those will be small materials only. Right. So moving on, here's a purchase committee. How many members of should be there in purchase committee? Answer is 3 members. Okay. So based on which they will give an order and purchase orders will be released by stores and purchase section. These are very important areas. Questions can come. How many members exist in a purchase committee? How many quotations are required? Question can also come that the purchase order is released by which section? Purchase section, store section, stores and purchase section, or invoice section. So there are account section. So please remember it is store and purchase section. Okay. Purchase will be made from all those with sales tax registration. This is replaced with GST now. So sales tax is no longer there. So please change this to GST because definitely this has changed. So this is now replaced with GST. VAT of course is there. PAN of course is there. Excise is also no longer there except for a few items only. Purchase through petty advances in case there is one department of accounts which is based in the head office and then there are small units. Then the head office, what they do is they give small advance to all units to do purchases. So this is a advance to purchase petty units. Any question up to now? Question is store account is done by whom? CA or any other person. But a store accounting is done by CA has got no role. Store accounting is done by the factory or the units. So any manufacturing unit must have a store department and basis that store department, they book the inventories. They manage the inventories and they control the inventory also. CA can only check, but ultimately it is done by the factories or the manufacturing units. Economic order quantity means quantity which is economical, right? So when you buy more material, it has a rental cost. You have to store it, you have to maintain it, right? So for example, when you have a party at home, you order ice cream, right? How much ice cream you will order? Will you order in hundreds kilos? No, because you will not order it because you know. Suppose you have to. Suppose you are a restaurant, and suppose in your restaurant you, or maybe you are an ice cream seller. How much daily ice cream you will put in? If you buy in bulk, it will be cheaper, but then to store it also needs a cost. So you will buy that quantity which is the cheapest. So your ordering cost is less and your storing cost is less. So that is the best quantity. Most of them, most of the shopkeepers, most of the manufacturers always believe to give order in economic quantity. Okay, that is what it means. Any other question? Gayatri, I think I have explained this answer. Economic order quantity is quantity which is economical to order, considering the ordering cost and the carrying cost. Are there any questions up to now? Store accounting is done by whom? Store accounting is done by a manufacturing company. Uh, Nobody else does this. Any questions more? No? Surely. So let's move on. So generally, if it is done by petty expenses, which means the company will give an advance, and basis that advance, the small unit will place an order, and the advance is to be adjusted once the material comes in. So what all details should be there? The date of purchase, the reasons, amount paid, the account number, and the person who has taken the advance, his details also will be there. Record of advance are held in cash, and this should have following details: to whom the advance is given, the reason of the advance, the amount of the advance, and the signature of the person also. Now, this is an example of what store accounting is, journal entries. So when you purchase an inventory, though this is not a financial accounting, this is a costing accounting. So when you purchase an inventory, you debit raw materials and you credit your supplier. When you book the cost, so from accounts payable, it goes to overhead. When you book the production labor in overhead, you book into overhead cost and clear the wage. Similarly, raw material goes into work in progress, so raw material credited and work in progress debited. Similarly, scrap and spoilage is also put into overhead costs. So when work in progress becomes finished goods, you credit the work in progress, debit the finished goods. You allocate the overheads into each item, and once this is complete, you transfer to COGS, cost of goods sold. Okay, and basis which your obsolete inventory also is written off. So this is a complete base of how the costing entry is passed. This is not done in financial accounting. This is only done for organizations which manage the costing data and the costing records. Okay, so please note these entries one by one. Are there any questions up to now? So issue of material, this is what I told you. Again, this chapter can be seen when you know this concept. So who issues materials, how they issued, how they are accounted for. So stores, they receive material, basis the store acquisitions, bill of materials, stores, authorization, and pricing them also. So this is a complete process. Store acquisition may who will give, each department will give, basis which they will prepare a bill of material, BOM. BOM is very important document here. Plus, definitely it will also record the stores in balance. They have to be properly authorized, and the pricing also needs to be rightly calculated. Material costing is very important in terms of valuation. This is very important. For costing purposes, the material cost is worked out by the actual cost incurred by taking price quote also. Based on this, the bill of material and work orders are printed and they are also issued. Then basis which the material is requested and basis which the BOM, this is also called as BOM is issued. Now this is a document which is issued for each component which is required for each job, and it is prepared by the production department before the quantity of components to be manufactured. So each department, so for example, this needs material, they'll prepare a BOM. They need material, they will prepare a BOM and they will give it to them, and then the material will come in. So each department, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, each department will prepare BOM. They will give it to centralized store after they are duly approved, and also it will mention the quantity required by them. Okay, Shali. So let's move on. Method of pricing is new area, FIFO, LIFO. Okay, we'll explain this in the next class. Is there any questions up to now? Because this is a new topic. I don't want to start a new topic now. We have only 2-3 minutes more. So if there is any question up to now, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we can. But a weightage is given on the top of the chapter, 20% each. So this is inventory, this is 20%. Each area, there are 5 topics. Each area has 20% weightage. Any questions more? No? चलिए, so ठीक है. If there are no questions, I'm ending the session. We are all done there. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.